Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today we have a very exciting video because I have been working on this video for the past year. So I'm sure we all know Kayla from Books and Lala, but if you don't, obviously she will be linked down below. I'd be very surprised if you don't know who she is, but she has been one of my favorite booktubers since 2019, I think, or 2018. I don't remember when I started watching her, and is one of the reasons that I started a channel because I wanted to be just like her. And now I feel like I can call her a friend, and I feel very lucky. I've been a co-host for her Literally Dead book club, which I am repping today in honor of Kayla, twice now, which both times were really fun. And I decided to try this challenge to spend the year reading her favorite books. Now, the way I did this was, if you know Kayla, you know that she hosts the buzzwordathon every year. I think it's been 4 or 5 years now where it's been a year-long challenge. It used to be like a week-long or 2-week-long readathon she would do, but then she made it into a year-long challenge where every month there would be a different buzzword and you had to read a book that fit that buzzword. So sometimes it's an actual word that has to be in the title of the book. Other times it's like a theme that has to be in the title. I'll leave her announcement video for this coming year, 2025, for the buzzword challenge because I don't know if I'm explaining it right, and if you don't know what it is, you should go check it out. So basically my idea was, I have participated in the buzzwordathon since she started doing the year-long versions, and then I always lose steam by like August, September, or October. I always miss out the last few months of the year because I don't really know what happens. It's almost just like I get tired of it, which is weird because it's just reading one book per month, but I always lose steam and I never complete it. But this year I was determined, and my idea was to read books that fit the challenge every month that Kayla has given 5 stars. And this proved hard some months, and sometimes I had to choose books that she gave 4.5. There's one that she gave 4, but there was literally no other option. It was the highest rated book. And actually, you might, so I know I titled this video like reading her favorite books for the year or something like that. So you might be watching this being like, these are not Kayla's 12 favorite books of all time. I know that. I know some of these books, like, it's not like you read these books and you think, oh my god, Kayla loved this. But I had to do what I had to do that fit the buzzword prompts, and also books that I was at least a little bit interested in. So I didn't read Bunny, even though that's one of her favorite books, but I'm just not interested in that book. I don't think it's for me. And also there's others that I couldn't read because I actually tried to do this challenge in 2022 and I made it till August, I think, until I again lost steam or something. So in 2022 I read a lot of Kayla's favorite books. I read Dress Codes for Small Towns, I read The Turn of the Key, I read Leave the World Behind, all part of that video that never ended up happening. So I decided to try to do it again this year, and spoiler alert, I did complete it. There's definitely some books I kind of had to stretch a bit for the prompt, but I think that's okay. So without further ado, what you're about to see is me throughout the year of 2024 reviewing 12 books that Kayla gave either 5 stars or very high ratings that I read for the buzzwordathon challenge. So let's just get back to, I think the first clip is from February, so let's go back to Darian in February with her first review. Hello! So here is the first clip for this vlog. This is the second time I'm trying to do a video like this, so I'm coming at you from, I mean technically it's February. Don't look at the calendar behind me, but this is January's book. I did read this in January. I was just slow at finally updating this vlog about it. But in January, the buzzword was the 3 theirs, there, there, and there, as we all know. And I read Out There by Kate Folk, and I really, really like this. I am not a short story collection person. Every short story collection that I've read so far has been very meh for me because I guess I have a problem with short stories because often when I really like them, I really want more of them, but obviously they're not very long because they're short stories. So I often get like frustrated with short story collections because I either don't like the story or I really like it, but then I want more of it. And I can't seem to grasp the concept that they're short stories. and that I can't have more of it. So anyways, I really like this, and it's actually my favorite short story collection that I've read. Not that there's been many, but I definitely liked it a lot, and I don't know how to explain it, so I'll read. The beginning of the Goodreads description says, with a focus on the weird and eerie forces that lurk beneath the surface of ordinary experience, Kate Folk's debut short story collection is perfectly pitched to the madness of our current moment, which I think describes it pretty well. It is stories with a slight like science fiction twist in each of them, and I would say that I really enjoyed most of these stories. I think there were a couple that I just thought were fine, or I didn't really see the point of, but a lot of them I really liked. Some of them, again, I would love to see more from these stories. I think my favorites were the one with the guy who has to take care of the house that always needs moisture. That one was definitely interesting. And the one where people's like bones melt. I thought that one, like, I think out of all of them, that's the one that I would want to read a whole book about. Because that one, I was just intrigued by what was going on, and I think it would be really interesting as a whole story. But I didn't love like the title stories, which were like two companion stories where these like robots are taking over these dating apps, and they're called blots, and they're basically like Russian spies. They're basically like built by the Russians to steal people's like data. And so when you go on dating apps, you'll never know whether it's an actual man or if it's a blot. And I don't know, those ones just, I was like, okay, I don't know. But most of the other ones I really liked. I also really liked the one where people are attracted to like people's organs instead of their qualities. Which I thought was also interesting. So a lot of these, there was a lot of me going like, huh, while reading this. I don't know, I had a good time with it. I gave it 4 stars. So we're off to a good start with the buzzwordathon vlog, and I'm already almost done February's book. So I will come back once I have finished February's book. So I'm here to talk about February's book. Once again, do not look at the calendar. Everything's fine. We're keeping on track with this video. But the buzzword for February was happy words or positive words, and I picked Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert because cute is a positive word. And I'm pretty sure Kayla gave this 5 stars, or maybe it was 4.5, but either way, it's 5 stars on Goodreads, so that's what we're basing this off of. And I had so much fun with this book. I listened to the audiobook, and let me just say the audiobook was stunning. 10 out of 10. I loved the audiobook so much. And I will say, like, it kind of took me a little while to get into this one because I wasn't sure how I felt about the characters, especially, what is her name? Celine. Like, there was parts of her personality that I was like, okay, I don't know. But then, you know, you find out more about her backstory, and I'm like, okay, I understand now. And I thought this was just so well written and so well paced because you find out everything you need to know about the characters when you need to know them. And I mean, Bradley, what a soft little boy. I love him so much. And also, like, oh my god, this scene where they reveal their feelings to each other was the cutest thing ever. I was walking downtown towards my class when I listened to that scene, and I was like, I could not stop smiling. It was so freaking cute. Do I tell you guys what these books are about? Did I do that with the last one? I mean, that one was a short story collection. Basically, there's these 2 teenagers, and they used to be friends earlier on in high school, and then they had a falling out, which you don't really know what it was about at the beginning of this book, but now they're enemies. And then they find out that they both signed up for this like survival course in the woods, and whoever wins this course, whoever gets the most points or something, gets a scholarship, something like that. So they're competing against each other, and then they kind of talk about what happened between them. They become friends again, and then they realize they have feelings for each other, and it is so cute. And I just loved it so much. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was so cute. I think I gave it 4.5. Yeah, I did. But I thought this was so cute. Like, just thinking about it, I'm smiling again. Ugh, Bradley. Love Bradley. And one thing I love about Talia Hibbert's writing is that she always includes like heavier topics in her books, and I really like how she kind of explored the trauma that both of these characters have faced in their past and how they're still dealing with that. Also, Bradley has OCD, and I don't know if Talia Hibbert has OCD, but I thought that it was written very well, and I like that it was a big part of who he is, but it didn't like define who he is, because I find in a lot of books, especially YA books, like characters' mental health issues kind of like define who they are, and this book wasn't about Bradley overcoming his OCD. It was about him just living his life, and he has OCD and how it affects his life. I hope I'm making sense, but I just really loved this book. I thought it was really cute, and I gave it 4.5. So that's another win for this video, because now we have a 4-star and a 4.5. So I'm excited to keep reading these books and seeing if I just love all of Kayla's favorite books. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this fast because Laszlo's in a barky mood and he will interrupt me. But hello, it is, well, it's April now. One day I will film these updates in the month that this book belongs in, but it is not that month. So it is April, but I'm here to talk about the book I read for the March buzzword. So March, the word was characters' names in the title, and this month it wasn't hard, but the thing is that with school and everything, I did not have the best reading month, and so early on in the month I did read a book with a character's name in the title, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murder, which I read for the Literally Dead book club. And after I finished the book, I said to myself, okay, if Kayla gives this 5 stars or even 4.5 stars, I will count it for the buzzwordathon. But she gave it 4.25 stars. So I couldn't count it. So I went back to my original plan and I read Finley Donovan. The problem is that I mean, I did start it in March. I started it on March 31st, but I finished it in April because, like I said, school was just crazy at that time and I was reading very slowly, but I think it still counts for March because I started it in March, okay? So anyways, I read Finley Donovan, which Kayla has given 5 stars, and I didn't love it. I was really disappointed. I don't know if maybe I read it at the wrong time. I have heard most people call this a cozy mystery. It was not cozy. I was very stressed reading this book. I feel like everyone knows what this book is about, but it's about Finley Donovan, who is a writer. She writes mysteries, and she is at a Panera one day talking with her agent, and she's saying things, her agent is saying things like, you just gotta figure out how to kill this one and then we can move on to the next one, talking about her books. But a woman overhears, thinking she is a hit woman, and offers to give her a lot of money to kill her husband. And so Finley kind of gets wrapped up in this whole shenanigan, and I found it I was so stressed reading this book, and maybe it's just because like I was going through finals, so I was already stressed, but I did not find this cozy at all. And I don't know, I found it went on for way too long, which, like, it's not a long book. I think it's like 300 something pages, so it wasn't long, but I don't know, we just didn't connect, Finley and I. I found it kind of got old fast, which I'm really upset about, but I will say, like, the very end of the book, the cliffhanger it leaves off on, it did make me want to read the next book. But I've heard from everyone that, like, after the first book, the series kind of goes downhill, and I know Kayla didn't really like the second or third book, but I think she liked the fourth one. But I don't know if I want to invest all that time. So I don't know, I gave it 3 stars. So what are our ratings so far? We had a 4-star, I think, with Out There, a 4.5 with Highly Suspicious, and then a 3-star. So we're still doing pretty well. I think as long as everything is above 3-star, that would be great. But that's what I read in March. Now let's move on to April, I guess. All right. I'm here with April's book, which I actually read all of it in April. So let's be proud of me for that. But I read I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I should take the bookmark out, but whatever. And the prompt for April was nature words, and I think sun counts as a nature word, okay? And let me tell you, I loved this book so much. I was definitely skeptical going into it because it came out in 2014, and so I thought there's no way I'm gonna like it that much. It probably didn't age well, and there's like a few things in it that didn't age well, but overall I loved this. I love this so much. Like, I don't even know how to talk about it because it just felt like one of those books that you read and it just felt so special, and that I was reading it at the exact right time. Like, I read this right after finishing my master's program and it just felt like I needed to read it in that moment. And it was great. I don't even know what to say. I loved it. This follows, if you don't know, this follows these two siblings who are twins, Noah and Jude. And it follows Noah's perspective when they are like 13 years old and Jude's perspective when they're 16 years old, I think. And in between that time, you know that something happened that caused them to kind of drift apart because they used to be very close. And in Jude's timeline, they are barely speaking to each other. So you're just going back and forth, learning what happened in between these years that caused them to drift away from each other. And I thought it was beautiful. This talked so much about like family relationships and also like romantic relationships, platonic relationships. I will say their mother passed away in a car accident, so trigger warnings for loss of a parent because that's discussed a lot in this book. It was so emotional. I loved every single relationship in this book. There was definitely like found family vibes and I loved it. I really loved it. Like, I don't know what to say. This writing reminded me a lot of Dress Codes for Small Towns, which I read when I tried to do this video 2 years ago. I don't remember what the buzzword was, but I knew I had to read that book because it's like Kayla's favorite book, and I read it and then I never finished that video. But the writing in this reminded me a lot of that book, so I can definitely see why she loves this book so much. But I loved it. This is like by far my favorite book I've read for this video. I think it's my favorite book I've read so far this year. I loved it so much. So we're doing great. We're doing great. This video is going very well because we've had a 4-star, 4.5. What did I read for March? Oh, a 3-star. Let's not talk about that. And then a 5-star. Our first 5-star for this video. We love to see it. Okay, so I'll see you for whatever next month is. Okay, so we're doing a bit of a double whammy today because I need to talk about both May and June's books. Now hear me out. This is why I'm so late, because in May I really wanted to read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson because I know Kayla loved it and I was just so intrigued by this book, and the buzzword for May was every, and so I thought this is perfect. And so I put a hold on that book from my library. It was either the beginning of May or even the end of April. Like, as soon as I filmed my May TBR, I put a hold on that book, and it didn't come in until like halfway through June. And it was only one person who had the book before me, so they kept it for a very long time. And like, yes, sometimes I keep books for a long time, but I am trying to film a video here, so they should have respected that. But anyways, I only got that book halfway through June, so I read it as soon as my hold came in. So anyways, this is for May's buzzword, the word every. I read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, and this premise is so interesting. So you're following this writer named Ernest, I think is his name, and he writes like how to write murder mystery books. So he doesn't even write murder mysteries, he writes how to write a murder mystery, which is such an interesting take. And he talks about how every person in his family has killed someone, including himself. And he's like, let's talk about it. So he goes through every person in his family and who they have killed. I don't want to go into it too much, and most of the story takes place at this like ski resort in this isolated, snowy setting, and he's like, this is the perfect setting for a mystery book. He also breaks the fourth wall quite often throughout the whole book, and I loved that. Like, in the prologue he was like, there will be murders on this page, this page, this page, and like throughout the book he'll be like, not to spoil things, but you may be thinking that this guy is the killer because he looks really suspicious right now, but he's actually not. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like, so I love this book. I give it 5 stars. I had so much fun reading this. It is one of my favorite mystery thrillers that I have read. It was so funny. I loved the voice of the narrator, and I thought the mystery was also so clever. I had kind of figured a few things out, but there was one reveal at the end. I did not see it coming at all. I was like, I gasped audibly when I got to that reveal. It was amazing. I loved this book so much, and I definitely see why Kayla loves this, and I don't know if I would have read it if it wasn't for the buzzwordathon. I feel like I say this for a lot of the books. I honestly don't remember what I've been saying for the books in this video because I haven't edited it at all yet, which is probably a mistake. But anyways, so yeah, I feel so out of breath. I just filmed a video and I'm just very out of breath. Okay, anyways, loved this book. I loved Ernest. I loved learning more about all the different characters of his family, and this book definitely had a lot of twists and turns that I did not see coming, and it just had me guessing until like the very end, and I just thought it was so much fun. I loved the way it was written, and I know the second book, because this is a series, I know the second book probably won't be as good as this one, but I'm still excited to read it because I'm excited to be back with Ernest and Benjamin Stevens's writing style, and so I really love this book. And then in June, the buzzword was repeating words. So I read And Every Morning The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. I think Kayla gave this, it was either a 4 or 5 star, maybe 4.5, I don't remember. I didn't have a lot of, well, I had options with this prompt. There's not that many titles that have repeating words that she is given like 4 or 5 stars to. So I went with this one because it is very short. I listened to the audiobook in one sitting, because the audiobook was like an hour long or something, maybe 2 hours. The actual book is only like 70 pages, so the audiobook was quite short, and I also really liked this. Listen, I don't think I read this at the right time because I know everyone sobs reading this book, and it's definitely like, I had this feeling that I was gonna cry the whole time I was listening to it, but I didn't actually cry. And I think if I had read this at a more vulnerable time, then I would have definitely sobbed. It is about this grandfather who is losing his memory. He has, I think, dementia or Alzheimer's, and he's sitting on a bench with his grandson, and they are essentially inside his mind and his memories, and so the space gets smaller and smaller the more he forgets. And over time he forgets more and more, and so it's just very sad to listen to. He is also reminiscing a lot about his wife who has passed away, and he is very scared about forgetting her, and it's very it's just heartbreaking. Like, it's one of the worst diseases to lose your memory, and there's no cure for it, and it's just so awful. And so, I mean, it was beautiful. The relationship between the grandfather and his grandson was beautiful, and it's Frederick Bachman, and his writing is just stunning. So I'm very glad I read it. I think I gave it 4.5, and I'm happy that I finally read it. I definitely would like to reread it one day, and like, because I feel like it would impact me more upon reread maybe. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I read that. So those are my last 2 updates. We're halfway through this challenge, and normally when I try to do the buzzwordathon, the second half of the year, I just flop for some reason. So we're gonna get through the rest of this challenge, mark my words. We're gonna get through it strong, and I'll see you guys in July. Alright, we are back with another double whammy because July was a very busy month for me, so I didn't get a chance to talk about July's book, and then I just went ahead and read August's book, but it's still August, so I feel like that's pretty good. So let's start with July. The buzzword for July was a book with a unit of measurement in the title. And so I read Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I'm quite sure Kayla gave this 5 stars. If it wasn't 5, it was 4.5. And I figured never or everything could be units of measurement. I think it counts. So yeah, so this book essentially follows this family. I think it's in the 70s, or is it the 80s? I don't remember, but it's definitely not present day. And this family, they are like your typical American family. It's the mom and the dad, and they have 3 kids, and the middle kid, who was always like the parents' favorite, she ends up drowning and passing away. And so this causes a huge rift within the family because she was the favorite, the kind of golden child. This affects everyone in the family in very different ways, and throughout the book we flash back to the past, how the parents met, and also when the kids were younger, and why she kind of ended up becoming the like golden child of the family. And the father of the family is Asian, and so it's also about the kids in the family growing up mixed race, how that affects their environment and how the kids at school treat them. And honestly, this was a beautiful book. It was such a simple story, but I thought it was beautifully told. I love Celeste Ng's writing, and actually when I tried to do this video a couple years ago, I read Little Fires Everywhere. I can't remember what the prompt was. I think it was actually every year or something. But I read Little Fires Everywhere because Kayla also gave that 5 stars, and I loved that book so much. I think I liked this one a little bit less, but I still gave it 4.5 stars. I just thought it was beautiful. I read most of it in Bali. And like, this is by no means like a beach read, but I just had like a good time, but it's also very sad, especially when you start to find out like what exactly happened with the girl and why she drowned. It just got really, really sad. And I mean, obviously her drowning in and of itself, it's very sad, but the kind of circumstances surrounding it, it was a very like hard book to read, but also like very easy to read. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just kind of got sucked into the story and I wanted to know what was going on with this family, and so I really loved it. I'm really, really happy I read it because this book has been on my Kindle for a really long time and I don't know when I would have gotten to it, so I'm really happy I finally read it. And then the book I read for August, it's kind of fitting because, so the buzzword in August was a book with like in the title, and looking at Kayla's Goodreads, there are not many books that she rated highly with the word like in the title. So the book I kind of had to go with was Unlikely Animals. I don't remember the name of the author. I think Kayla gave this 4 stars, so I don't think by any means it's like one of her favorite books, but it was the best I could do. So I read this and I didn't really like it. This book just had so much going on. Like, I liked it at first because it's definitely a weird book and I like weird books, but there was so much, I don't even know how to, I was trying to explain to my boyfriend like the stuff that happened in this book, and I kept like remembering other things that happened, and he was like, how did all of this happen in one book? It's, how do you explain this? It's about this girl who's returning home after going away to med school, but then she drops out of med school but never told her parents. So she's coming home to visit her family and she's gonna tell her family that she ended up dropping out of med school. And the story is narrated by the ghosts of this town, who are all just kind of hanging out in the cemetery of the town. And the narration is definitely very interesting and I liked the voice of the narrators, but there was just too much in the plot that was going on. So in addition to that, this main character, she used to have this power where she could heal people when she touched them, but she lost this power. But I feel like we did not explore that enough because I kept forgetting that was part of the story until they would randomly like mention it in like a one-off comment, and then they'd be like, anyway. And I was like, oh yeah, that's part of this book. Also, her father, another reason she's coming home is that her father is dying and he is starting to see hallucinations. He keeps seeing animals everywhere, especially like cats and bunnies and stuff. And so like he lost his job because he was scaring the students. He thought there were cats all over the classroom. And so there's that aspect of the book. And then there's also I'm just like slowly remembering everything. There's also the main character, when she comes back to her hometown, she finds out that her best friend, or her old best friend, has gone missing. And everyone assumes that she passed away because she was a drug addict. So there's a big conversation in this book about addiction, which I appreciated, but it just felt really out of place in this book. Like, I feel like if you're gonna have that in the book, you should focus on it a little bit more instead of kind of shoehorning it with all these other plot points. And then like the main character gets a job as a substitute teacher, so there's a lot about like her students and how she's learning to love her students. And then there's a lot about her friend who went missing, and also this little girl who is supposed to be in her class who passed away. And then it all kind of connects by the end, but it's just very like, I don't know, I could not keep up with this book. And this book is not very long. It was like 360 pages or something. Like, it was way too short to try to do as much as it did. And then like by the end, there were so many things that happened at the end that were just ridiculous. And like, I know this is a weird book, and obviously like you kind of have to accept that like things are gonna happen and that are not rooted in reality, you know, but like there was a reveal at the end that I was like, no. Like, I did not like it at all. So it was just weird. It wasn't really for me. I gave it, I think, 2.5 stars because I don't think it's a bad book. it just tried to do way too much, in my opinion. But like, it makes sense because this is not one of Kayla's favorite books. It's just what I had to read. That was basically my only option for buzzwordathon this month. So that's what I read, but I'm very excited for next month, and I think that will go much better. So we'll see you next month, I guess. Okay, we're gonna try to film this fast because I am so hot right now. It is literally the end of September, okay? It is officially fall now. It should be colder outside, but it is not. So I can't sit here anymore. Hi, it's September. The buzzword this month was senses in the title, and I always forget the name of this book, but I read The Smell of Other People's Houses. I'm pretty sure that's what the book is called, by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. And I finished this about 2 weeks ago, and then I haven't really been in the mood to film, so it's been a little while since I finished this book, but I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, I think. Okay, of course, as soon as I say that I want to film this fast, my camera battery dies. But I think I was saying I gave this book 3.5 stars, and it was definitely a book that I enjoyed while reading it, but since finishing it I haven't really thought too much about it. So this takes place, I want to say, in the 80s or 90s, but I think it's the 80s. It takes place in this small town in Alaska. And while I was reading this book felt very atmospheric, and I feel like it would be such a good book to read in the winter. Like, it definitely gives me those like cold, cozy vibes. You're following the perspective from 4 teenagers and kind of how their lives intersect and how they're all kind of going through their own challenges in life. And there's a lot of discussion on the indigenous peoples in Alaska, and I thought that was a very interesting topic to read about. And so I definitely enjoyed this book, and I enjoyed each character we read from, but like, there was nothing about the book that really like stuck out to me. Like I keep saying, I enjoyed it while I read it, but then I didn't think too much about it once it was done, or when I wasn't reading it, it wasn't like I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to get back to that book. It was just a nice thing to read, and then it was over. Like, I really don't have much to say about it. I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I read it because this is definitely a book that was like on my radar for a long time, and so I'm glad I had an excuse to finally read this book. I just didn't love it. I don't know. So I gave it a 3.5, and I really don't have much else to say about it, so we're just gonna move on to next month. Okay, hello. I have 2 books to catch you guys up on now because it is actually the beginning of December now, and I have not updated on October or November's books, so I'm here to do that now. So let's go back to October. October, the buzzword was relationships, relationship words, and I chose to read Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston because brothers. And Kayla gave it 5 stars, obviously, and I also gave this 5 stars. I love this so much. It might be, I don't know, is it one of my favorite books of the year? I guess we'll find out soon. But this was just so much fun to me. I loved Amari as a character. This is essentially, now, it's been 2 months now since I've read this, but you're following Amari, who is a, I think, 12-year-old girl, and she's going through a hard time because her brother has been missing for, I think, 6 months at this point, and she believes that he is still alive, even though many people don't. And then she kind of finds out about the real reason he's disappeared, which is that he is working for this like magical school, this magical academy, and she gets invited to train there, and then she finds out more things about herself that I don't want to say, but this was such like, oh my god, it was so good, and it was so funny too. I loved B.B. Alston's writing, and I can definitely see why this book has been so hyped up. Like, I have been hearing about this book since I think it came out in 2020, and I had yet to pick it up, but I finally did, and I loved it. And I read the audiobook, which was, I really liked the audiobook, so highly recommend that. But yeah, it was just such a fun time. There were twists and turns that I didn't expect, and I just thought this was great. And I can't wait to continue the series because it definitely ended in a way that made me like really want to know what happens next. And I also just really loved Amari as a character. I loved following her. I don't know, there's just like, there's something really special about this book, I find. So I'm really happy I read it, and I really loved it. Obviously I gave it 5 stars. And then November, you'll see a theme because I read 2 middle grades back to back. but the buzzword for November was only, and there weren't that many books that Kayla had given 5 stars with the word only in the title. This might have actually been the only one, haha, the only one, but maybe not. But anyways, the book I read was The Only Black Girls in Town by, I can't remember, the book cover will be on the screen. But this is a book that, like, I never really, the only person I think I know who has read this is Kayla, and I like was aware of this book, but I never heard that much about it. So I was like, okay, like I'm up for reading another middle grade, and this was also 5 stars. I loved this, and I think I liked it even more than Amari, which is saying something, but I think this book will be in my top 10 books of the year. I loved this book. So let's see if I remember. You're following this girl named Alberta. She is 12 years old, and she is the only black girl in her grade at school, and her family is the only black family that lives in the small town that she lives in until they get word that another black family is moving into like the abandoned B&B in their town, and they have a daughter who is exactly her age, and so she's really excited to meet this girl and is excited to maybe have someone she can relate to more. And so this book is really just about like their friendship, but also her friendship with her best friend. What was her name? It was like a very interesting name. Laramie? I think it was Laramie, but it was a lot about her relationship with her best friend, because her best friend starts getting closer with the girl who has been bullying Alberta for a long time. So it just, like, this book is a lot about how hard it is to be a teenager or, you know, a tween when you're 12 years old. Like, so many things are happening in your life. There's so many changes, not only like obviously in your body, but just like changes around you, social changes and stuff like that. Friends start acting differently, you start feeling differently. Like, it's such a vulnerable time. And I thought this, Brandy Colbert, that's who wrote the book. I remembered. But yeah, it's such, like, she did such a good job at writing these feelings, and it felt so real, and it definitely brought me back to being that age, but also with the added struggle of her being black and experiencing some racism in her town, because up until now they've been the only black family in this town. It was just so interesting, and I really just loved it. There was also this side story of her and the new girl that moved in finding these letters at the B&B of the person who used to live there, and them like trying to figure out who this person was. It was just so, like, I was intrigued the whole time. Again, I listened to the audiobook, which I thought was great, and I just really loved this. So I'm so happy that I read this, because I don't think I would have read it if it wasn't for this video. So yeah, I highly recommend that book. It was so good. So now we have one more book to read, and then this whole challenge, this whole video will be done, which is crazy. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm gonna read yet for December, but I have a pretty good idea. So I guess I'll see you guys when we're finished our last book. Okay, so I'm back. It's me again from the intro, and I'm here with my last review for the December prompt and the last book for buzzwordathon for 2024. So the prompt for December was holiday words, and I had a lot of trouble with this because I am working on my Goodreads video right now, spoiler alert, which is taking me a long time, and of course none of those books could fit for this prompt. And so I was like, my god, am I gonna have to add like another big book in addition to all the other big books I'm reading this month? And then my bestie Lisa had the amazing idea to read the next book in the Wayward's Children series, which for me was Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna McGuire, because sugar I think counts as a holiday word, and also I feel like beneath counts, like beneath the tree, presents beneath the tree, I don't know, but I think it counts. And Kayla did give this book 5 stars. So if you don't know, the Wayward Children series, the I think 10th book comes out next month, so I am very behind. Beneath the Sugar Sky is the 3rd book in the series, and honestly I thought I was done with the series. I read the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, in 2019 I think, and I liked it, but I didn't love it like most people do. And then I read the 2nd book, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, maybe the year after that, and I know that book is a lot of people's favorites, or one of their favorites, and I thought it was just okay. So I was starting to think this series is probably not for me if I only found the first 2 books like good, fine, okay, when everyone else is like raving about them. Hello. So, but it's really short, so I decided to just, sorry, Tiger has to climb the chair. Okay, so I decided to listen to the audiobook for Beneath the Sugar Sky, and I actually really enjoyed it. I still gave it 3.5 because I don't think this series is ever gonna be like something amazing for me, but I definitely feel like maybe I needed to wait a few years to enjoy this, because the second book I read, I'm pretty sure in 2020, so almost 5 years ago. And maybe I don't know, maybe it needs to grow a bit more. But I, like, even though I think I gave it the same rating as the second book, I still enjoyed this more. This book, so I didn't even explain what this is about, but the Wayward Children series follows children who have gone to like fantastical worlds. So think of like Narnia, kids who have traveled through magical doors that led them to a different life. And then it's following those kids after they've come back to the real world and they're having trouble adjusting back to the real world. So they go to this school for wayward children to kind of help them adjust back, and also like most of them are trying to find their doorways back to the fantastical world. So I believe every odd number book takes place in the school and every even numbered book in the series takes place in the fantastical worlds. So every book, like, you can kind of read it out of order, but I feel like you should still read it in order. I don't know. That I've heard people say that, but like you're never gonna see me read a series out of order. Like, that's just not who I am as a person. So this book, as you know, you could probably guess, takes place in the school, and you're following a few characters. There's one new character named Cora who I really liked because she is a fat girl, and I really liked the fat rep in this book. It really resonated with me, and a lot of the things she was saying about growing up fat, I was like, girl, you get it. So I really liked the fat rep in this book, and I also just liked her as a character. And I don't want to say too much because there's some stuff that would definitely spoil the first book, but you're following the daughter of a character from the first book, and you go back to her world to kind of fix something that happened in order for her to continue to exist. It's the best way I can think to describe it. And her world is like a sugary, like candy land, basically. Everything is made out of sugar. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but it might be confection, something like that. And they have to kill like the sugar queen or whatever it was. I don't remember. It's been a few weeks since I read this, but it's still December, so I'm actually on time for once. But yeah, so it's a very quick, like, I don't want to say too much because it's less than 200 pages, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the audiobook, and I'm wondering if maybe the audiobooks are the way to go for this series, because the other two I read physically. But I'm actually like looking forward to continuing the series now, and I thought I would never continue it. So I'm really happy that I read this book for this challenge, because now I actually feel excited. And I saw like the synopsis for the newest book, and I was like, oh my god, I know her. Like, I know this character. So I'm excited to keep reading this series now, and I thought I never would. So that's the last book in this video. I completed Buzzwordathon 2024. I'm so proud of myself. It's the first time I've been able to complete Buzzwordathon, and I did it all with books Kayla has read and loved, mostly loved, liked, strongly liked. So to end this whole project off, I thought it would be fun to, kind of in honor of Kayla, to do a tier ranking of all the books that I read for this video. So honestly, I probably should have rewatched my clips after I read each book, because some of these I read months ago and I don't remember too well. But here we have the tiers. So we have a new fave, we have Kayla's Got Taste, we got Agree to Disagree, you know, the books that I thought were just okay. So I'm like, okay, I get why you like it, but I didn't necessarily like it. Is She Okay? And Unsubscribe. Like, this opinion's wrong. Honestly, I don't think I have any that are that bad. So this is in a random order, but the first one I think is my least favorite book from this whole video, and that is Unlikely Animals. This is definitely a book I liked at the beginning, and it was a very unique book. But by the end, I just like, we lost the plot. I did not know what was going on anymore. So, oh, hello. Okay, this one I'm gonna put in Is She Okay? So So sorry, Kayla, but I will say, like, I'm pretty sure this is her lowest rated book out of all of these, so it's fine. Then we have The Smell of Other People's Houses, which I really liked in the moment, but I kind of forgot about it as soon as I read it. But I feel like it would be, whoops, no. I feel like it would be in between Kayla's Got Taste and Agree to Disagree, but I'm gonna put it in Agree to Disagree because I liked it, but it's not like it's nowhere near a 5-star for me, so I'm gonna put it there. I'll Give You the Sun is going a new fave. One of my favorite books of the year. I think it's number 2. I think it's my number 2 favorite book of the year. Stay tuned for my best books of the year list. I loved this book so much, and I don't know when I would have read it if it weren't for this video. Like, I have a feeling it would have just sat on my TBR forever. So I am so happy I read this. I loved this book so much. And also I recently read her newest book, When the World Tips Over, and I love that too. So there you go. Beneath the Sugar Sky, I'm gonna say Kayla's Got Taste. Because as I just talked about, I really enjoyed this. And I'm excited to continue the series. The Only Black Girls in Town, another new fave. This one I never would have read, I don't think, if it weren't for this video. And I thought it was so well done. Oh my god, I was so invested in this story. I really love this book. Another one of my favorites of the year. And then we have Amore and the Night Brothers. I'm actually gonna put it in Kayla's Got Taste, even though I gave it 5 stars, because maybe I shouldn't have read the 2 middle grades back to back, but the other Black Girls in Town like really just sticks in my mind more. But I'm gonna, here, I'll put it in front of Hello. Hello? Okay, there. That's just what feels right to me. I don't know. Then we have And Every Morning, The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. I'm gonna put that in Kayla's Got Taste. I think I mentioned this in the clip where I talked about this book, but I feel like I read this at the wrong time. I feel like I need to wait until I'm more like emotionally vulnerable to read this, because I think this could be a 5-star. It just didn't hit me as hard as I feel like it could, you know? Then we have Everything I Never Told You, which like the more I think about, the more I really love. So I think I'm gonna put it in the front, okay, in the front of Kayla's Got Taste. Which I did give this a 4.5. I honestly might bump it up to a 5, because this book I feel like I haven't stopped thinking about. And I like my thoughts about it may have been affected because I read this mostly in Bali. Well, mostly in Bali. I barely read in Bali. While I was reading this, I was in Bali and my brain was mush. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, the February book, so long ago. This I'm also gonna put in Kayla's Got Taste. I'm gonna put it in the middle here, because I really enjoyed this and I remember it being really cute. I don't remember much about the plot, but I remember it being really cute. Everyone in my family has killed someone. New fave. I loved this. This was so fun. Also one of my favorite books of the year. I had so much fun. I had so much fun with this book. And I can't wait to continue that series. Out There, again, Kayla's Got Taste. I'm gonna put it here. This was the very first book I read for this video, and I still like vaguely remember some of the stories, which is honestly pretty impressive. Because books I read in January, they're gone by December. They're not in here anymore, but I still vaguely remember some of the stories, which, you know, that just shows how good it was. And I'm very excited about her next release, which I think is a full-length novel about a woman who is attracted to a plane. I'm interested, I gotta say. I want to see what that's all about. And then finally, we have Finley, and I'm gonna put in Agree to Disagree, because I thought this was just okay. It just wasn't for me. I don't remember much about it. Like, it kind of left my brain. I seem to remember thinking Finley was kind of annoying. I don't know. It was just a little too silly goofy for me. And I like silly goofy, but this just like, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. So there we have my final tier. So yeah, there's nothing in unsubscribe because nothing was that bad. But like, I'd say this was quite successful. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books that I like really enjoyed. And I still really enjoyed The Smell of Other People's Houses. It was kind of forgettable for me. There was only one book that I like actively disliked, but I didn't hate it. So I'd say this was quite successful. There was also 3 books that I read that will probably be in my top 10 books of the year. So I feel like this went very well. I'm so happy I was able to complete this challenge after trying to do it 2 years ago. And thank you, Kayla, for having great taste in books and for inspiring us booktubers for 10 years now. Actually, this is really fitting because I had no idea that like recently was her 10-year booktube anniversary. So I feel like, you know, I did this on purpose. Maybe my subconscious knew and I was like, I need to do a whole video dedicated to Kayla to honor her in her 10-year journey of booktube. So yeah, thank you, Kayla, for all these book recs that you didn't know you were giving me. And I had so much fun with this video. I'm kind of sad it's over, honestly, but I'm also like really proud that I actually stuck with it for the whole time. So very happy about that. I would love to know if you guys participated in the buzzwordathon, and if so, which was your favorite book that you read for it. Mine was obviously I'll Give You the Sun. I love that book so much. And if you made it till the end, leave, I guess, the bee emoji, because buzzword, you know, you get it. And yeah, go subscribe to Kayla, obviously, if you're not already, which, like, why aren't you? I'm so tired. Okay. And also Happy New Year, because this will probably come out after New Year. So Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone has a great 2025. I can't wait to see what I read for Buzzwordathon this year. And this time I'm gonna read whatever I want, which is very freeing. But yeah, okay, I'm rambling now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!